Founder of Excellence Hospitality and the right person to get this discussion on the roll. Welcome, Mr. Sravan Kumar. Our next panelist is Mr. Vishwanath Pandey. He is a founder and principal consultant of THI Hospitality Consultants. I think we all had lunch, so we can have a little more louder. Thank you. Yeah, I got a. Mr. Pandey also has another hat, and that is he is the current president of the FSCAI. Yes. Next we have is Mr. Naresh Shahani. He is a hotel, restaurant, and food facility consultant. Welcome, sir. Mr. Imtiaz Mistry is not was unable to unable to attend. Sanjeev Deshmukh. Mr. Sanjeev Deshmukh will instead take his place on the panel. Welcome, sir. Next on is we have Mr. Sadanand Acharya, who is a principal consultant of S.A Design. I'm assuming the S.A stands for Sadanand Acharya. And next we have, last but not least, is Mr. Sanjeev Shukla, who is a principal consultant for 3S Kanchan. So over to you, Mr. Sravan Kumar, and hope we have a great discussion. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. It's always been associated. It's always been a pleasure being with World of Hospitality, and Madam Stina has been very kind, and she's always been supportive and cooperative. We have done a lot of events, and we look forward to more. Today's topic, we have been given audits and compliances, so we would like to throw some light. We want to make it a little interactive. We have a few gifts to be given away to the audience. In between, we'll ask some random questions and answer the questions, and you'll get some gifts. There's no rocket science involved, and if you are a little attentive, that's it. That's nothing more and nothing less. And before I go into the context, before I go into asking the questions to my panelists, I'd like to throw some light. It's not easy either to set up or to operate a food service establishment or a hotel. A mere accumulation of a few people and some infrastructure is not the key. It will not complete the picture. There are a lot of regulations, there are a lot of conditions, there are a lot of registration and licensing norms which are required to be fulfilled. Each one of them may have some relevance, some of them may not be relevant, and some of them are required to be brought in. So today's discussion, we would like to throw some light on how to balance the business acumen while complying with the statutory regulations. That's the broad spirit with which we would like to go. As again I said, this is not an in-depth technical session. This will only give you a bird's eye view of what we are talking about. So my panelists here on stage with me, I think cumulatively we'll have more than about 200 years of experience in the food service consulting business. So these are the people whom you will not be able to meet easily. If you want an appointment, you'll have to wait for days and weeks and several days. And today you have an opportunity to interact with them on a one-to-one basis. And for all of us, including starting with me, for all of us, this is a great learning session. I would strongly look at this as a learning session. Let us have some takeaway. Let us leave this conference hall with more knowledge and more wisdom than what we came in today. So with that context, I'd like to start this discussion. My first question goes to my colleague Sanjeev Shukla. Sanjeev Shukla is a consultant and he's also an entrepreneur. He runs a food business establishment. He serves yummy food. People remember that for days, weeks and months together. People keep going back to your establishment, your restaurant, even though I am yet to go there. I have not had the opportunity of doing that. Maybe I am hoping he will invite me for dinner tonight. That's the reason why I'm asking the first question to him. I'm being very selfish to him. So my question to you, Sanjeev, is that a lot of times we feel there is a conflict of science and the law. I'll make it simpler. When a food safety inspector comes to your restaurant, and if he finds a container. It can be a GN pan or a stainless steel utensil or whatever it is, in which you have some meat. Let's say that meat has been in the deep freezer previous night and you have taken it out and allowed it to thaw so that it will come down to the room temperature so that it will be used for food preparation. One instance. Second instance, you also have some marinade. Let us say some meat or some vegetables are kept for marination. You have prepared a marinade, you have dipped your meat in that and you have kept it for marination for some time. Unfortunately, when the food safety inspectors see this, they immediately term it as a violation, saying that the meat belongs in a freezer and meat should not be kept out, and they go on to penalize. So, are they right? My question is, are they right, or are they missing some point there? If the food safety inspector says meat should not be kept outside at all, are they meaning that the meat should be taken out from a freezer and directly go into hot cooking equipment, or what's your take on that? How do you handle a food safety inspector says that you can't keep meat outside?
Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, sir, everyone, including yourself, you are welcome to the restaurant. I'll share the location on the group, so everyone is invited. Regarding the meat, or I'll say any kind of a non-vegetarian food is technically very delicate to handle. So the best way to do it is if you know what's your process is, you can do a overnight chilling of the process of the meat. You can take it out from the freezer, you can put it into a chiller and let it thaw in a controlled environment temperature. That is one of the things which you can do. Second thing which food safety operators should also understand is there is always a process, like how there is a washing, cleaning, drying, then pre-cooking, then cooking of the vegetable. Same way it should even apply to a non-vegetarian food where it is thawed, taken out, marinated, it has to settle for some time and then it has to get cooked. So we should make the food inspectors and the authority understand the certain processes, and then they can take it further. After still, if there are few things which have been, if you all say it's non-cooked and it's kept for a longer period of time, something, then they can fine for those things, but not for something which is already getting cooked as a process. So SOPs from the authority needs to be streamlined, needs to be very clear on what and how things needs to be handled. But unfortunately, in our countries, this is missing since long. And people are trying to get into things where they are trying to educate the system, the government, to do the process in a right way. Thank you.
Is this working? AV team, is mic on? That's some insight, and I just want to test. It's immediately post lunch hour, so I really want to see how much our audience is attentive. I am throwing out a first question to the audience. Anybody can answer this. Who issues a food safety license? He is a consulting partner from Peacock Hospitality. You are disqualified by virtue of being a consultant. I am talking about who issues a food safety license. Can somebody answer this, please? Okay, so we'll pass this question. You can think about it. You can consult each other. Whenever you answer this question. Okay, you are saying FSSAI. Is that the answer? Okay, that is a food safety license, but there is a certain mechanism through which they issue a license. Who exactly issues the license? You are there, but you are not there. Who issues the license? Anybody else? You issue the license? Aap dete? Food inspector. No, it's not. Okay, we'll take this. After the next round, I'll give you the answer. After the next round, I'll give you the answer. In the meanwhile, you people can keep thinking. We got very attractive. Can somebody show one gift? I'll bring out one gift, please. We'll show you yeah, Yeah, see, that's the gift for you to win. That's a gift for anybody to win. So keep thinking about this and we'll go to that. My next question is a little elaborate question. I'm going to read out something. I'm going to read out something, so please pay attention. What are the list of permissions and licenses to set up and operate a hotel anywhere in India? But I have taken a generic situation of state of Maharashtra. I'm going to, some of these are one time, some of these are annual licenses. I'm going to read clearance of the name by the registrar of companies. Please pay attention. I have a question. Certificate of registration, IEC code, that is the import export code with the Director General of Foreign Trade. Income tax department, you will need to take a PAN. Commercial taxes department, you will need to take a goods and services tax registration. You need to register under professional tax, register under shops and establishments act, registration under labor act, registration under ESI act, registration under provident fund act. Then when you put up the building, you need a municipal sanction for construction. Then you need a preliminary approval by the fire department. Then you will need a final approval by the fire department, after which you will require an occupancy certificate by the municipal corporation. Then CEIG, that is a Chief Electrical Inspectorate General approval for electricity connection. It happens beyond a certain capacity, not for very small. Compliance certificate for your diesel generator set. Annual license for lifts, elevators and escalators. Municipal license to run an eating house. Police license to run a lodging house. Excise license to store and sell liquor on premises. Explosives license if your storage of LPG is going to be more than 100 kilos. Explosives license if furnace oil and diesel exceeds 500 liters. Police license for operating a walkie-talkie if you have a specific bandwidth and not a general bandwidth. Environmental clearance for large projects subject to certain conditions. Boiler license if your capacity exceeds 500 kgs. IPRS and PPL clearance on an event-to-event basis. Money changer license if you want to deal with foreign exchange to be given by the Reserve Bank of India. Registration with the State Tourism Department. Registration with the Tourism Department, Government of India. Registration with the Legal Metrology Department for your weights and measures, including your peg measure in a bar. Please understand, your 30 ml peg measure in a bar has to be certified by the Legal Metrology Department. National Green Tribunal clearance if the project is planned in restricted zones. CRZ clearance if it is a beachfront property. Airports Authority of India approval if you are in a air corridor, and so on and so forth. So this is only a, and this list is not complete, ladies and gentlemen. This is only an indicative list. This is not a complete list.
I could
now
go on a similar list, another 5 more items.
Yeah.
Here, huh?
Now my question goes to Naresh ji. Mr. Naresh Shahani is one of the most senior consultants the country has. He carries more than 5,000 projects experience and more than 5 decades of professional experience as a consultant. My question to you, Naresh ji, if this is a kind of a license Raj that we have post-liberalization, the so-called post-liberalization that claimed to have happened in 1991-92, if this is a kind of a licensing Raj that we have, how does one comply? Is it practical? Is it humanly possible to comply with all this? And what is the way out? Please give us some wisdom.
Thank you, Shravanji. Sorry I interrupted because that list was so, endearing and so heavy on any new restaurateur or hotelier coming into this business. But I wanted to just point out there are 2 other major licenses which you require to operate in the state of Maharashtra. One is called as the Maharashtra Pollution Control Board approval, and which has to be taken again every year. Number 1. Number 2, even if you are putting a blooming cold room in your kitchen, you need permission. If you are going to make mithai in your kitchens, you need permissions and licenses for operating that. So coming back to the point as to what Shravanji has said, how do you manage to do these 60 licenses? If I go deeper, of course, there are many more. But to comply with all these things and not get trapped by some inspector every month or every week, that's a complete separate science. So the only answer, the way forward I see for anybody entering this industry is to have appropriate specialized consultants who know about these licenses. That is one way. Second way is that our associations which are there, like Federation of Hotel and Restaurant Association and FHRAI as well as the regional associations, they have to be members of such organizations to understand what is happening. Every week or every month in a state like Maharashtra, something new comes up. Some incident happens. Some fire may happen somewhere. Whether it is Ayodhya, whether it is in the Prayagraj or in Mumbai. It affects the life of people. And why are these regulations being put up and why these licenses are being asked is because everybody in this country wants to do shortcuts. Of course, there are major chains which are, of course, going to see that the local laws are adhered to. But everybody wants to cut the cost. But they don't understand the implication of something like that. You won't even know the reason why this Maharashtra Pollution Control Board certificate is required every year. Your ventilation system could not be working well enough. And you're polluting the air, you're attracting birds, you're having near the airport, if you're there, it goes into these aircrafts and damages millions of dollars worth of engines. So there is a reason for each and every license that has been prescribed. How do you as a standalone, because larger organizations who have got chain operations and all that, they have got the list ready and it is being updated on a monthly basis. But smaller organization, a standalone restaurant or a hotel, needs to be aware of this and whether that is applicable to them as per their sizes and capacities. For example, you were mentioning about the gas bank. You know, if that is applicable to you as a small restaurateur, what are the steps? If you're going beyond the threshold, then you can look at alternative fuels. Induction is a very big, strong fuel, alternate source of energy, which is helping us to bring down our gas consumption and therefore pollution and therefore electrical consumption. All these aspects must be kept in mind while you are designing your property and upgrading also. So once you have done all these things and you attended all these seminars and webinars that we are doing all the time, it will be to the benefit to each and every hotelier and restaurateur that he must make a track record of all these things and keep a complete date of renewal as Sanjeev does on his phone. Okay, sir.
So Naresh has given you a great task. Have a separate department for compliances. Have one or two people who will keep track of all the licenses and keep getting them renewed. So that becomes another department added to the establishment.
Today, my CA charges more fees to me than I have paid for 4 people. A small consultant like me is paying 1.5 lakh rupees every year only to see that the compliances are properly done by a CA.
Sir, you're a big man.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It is the law here.
And ladies and gentlemen, Naresh is such a veteran, such a senior consultant. His chartered accountant is none other than PricewaterhouseCoopers. We will not be able to afford, sir. Thank you so much for that, Gyan. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, before I go to the next panelist, yes, here is another question. I have read out certain things. I'll ask 2 questions in this round. One, who allots the theme for your company? Or in other words, I'm asking you, whom should you approach to get the name of your company cleared if you're registering a new company? Okay, I'll give a go-by to that. I'll ask now the easy question. I read out a list of licenses. Anybody can tell me how many licenses I read out. If you just give me the number correctly, you can collect this gift. I'll keep this here. If you can just give the number correctly, nothing more, you can collect this gift. So that shows how attentive we are. So it's simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. You should have kept a count. Anyway, we'll move on to the next question. So looks like audience is yet to collect their gift, but I'll move on to the next question. The next question is to our, again, a veteran, again, a very, very senior consultant, again, a very, very highly respected consultant with national portfolio all over, Sri Sanjeev Deshmukh ji. I'll go to him. Sir, sometimes, due to some constraints or practicality, there will be some conflict between the norms of a hotel chain and the compliance part. I'll just take out one example. It is only an example. Please do not limit your answer to this example. Let us say you are tying up a 200-room hotel with an international hotel chain, and as a brand standard requirement, they might say we require one car parking slot for every key that you have in a hotel. Which means if I had to make a 200-room hotel in Bombay or in any other place, I should also have a dedicated 200 car parking space, which is not possible in a city like Bombay or today in many places in India. How do we handle this? Do we violate the norm, or do we convince the hotel operator, or do we find via media that unfortunately, yes, on paper you declare that to be a parking area, but you put it to some other commercial use, and then live perpetually in terror of the smallest inspector who comes on the municipal corporation every month to you?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody can listen. Thank you very much. Thanks. Shravanji, violation to the compliance is out of question. Nobody can do that. The issue is about the compliance vis-a-vis these brand standards which are there. What happens is that the brand standards may specify something, but they are normally not adamant about it. They are always flexible to understand the local norms, local situations, the property costs, etc. This is pertaining to the question which you added on as far as the parking is concerned. However, the way I see for the hotel, the compliances are basically A, which is there for the guests, and the second list is for the staff. In either cases, we have to ensure that the compliances are always met, A, by the local authority first. 101%, it is required to be done that way. Second part is, when it comes to the staff comfort, staff safety, I find these days a lot of improvement which is happening. Irrespective of norms being specified, the owners are trying and talking about the safety factor of the staff first, purely because of the fact that there is a humongous turnover of the staff if they are not looked after well. One of the most important factor is the smallest restaurants. Of course, now even the local norms are requesting, we have somebody from the fire separation here, but we definitely have something which is a requirement even by the foreign brands and brand standards, as well as the local people are wanting to do it for their own safety. And the norms, as far as Bombay is concerned, not only Bombay, now all over the country, the requirement for the fire separation within the kitchen is a norm, it is required. Another example from the staff point of view I'll give you, the ratio of staff to the room is something which is defined by the brands. In many cases, they also say that if the staff is X, my staff facilities should be Y as far as the area is concerned, and as far as number of covers for the dining area is concerned, the separate kitchen for the dining of the staff is concerned. However, we have seen in our own facility planning that many a times we are always there, not that when the whole planning from the space planning starts, we are also there at a very later stage when the space planning is already done and we are there to define. So we try and exactly find out a mean way by which it is a win-win situation in terms of the brand requirements and the local requirements. So I would say that there is something which is supposed to be a facility planner's, it is his expertise to ensure that both the ends are met properly. And we ensure that those which are supposed to be life-saving areas, we are not compromising 101%. Nothing is compromised. That's what we do, and I'm very sure my colleagues are also doing the same. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Sanjeev ji, I would like to ask a small supplementary question.
Yeah.
Many times, we are not talking about all the establishments, and definitely we're looking at...
Let her finish. I can't.
You need to come tomorrow to collect your awards at 3 p.m.
this does not hold good to us. Our awards are immediate.
Sir, the supplementary question is,
Yeah.
sometimes, I do not say all, but sometimes, there are violations which happen either due to compulsions of practicality or due to monetary reasons. Do you, as a consultant with long years of experience, see that compliance is becoming more of a norm and violations are reducing?
Yes, I can very boldly say that the time has gone when we could deviate everything in terms of the compliance by enrouting yourself. I don't want to spell out the ways to do it, but it has now become extremely important to follow the compliances now. It is, and I can very proudly say that the way the interactions from the association is there with the clients are also trying to understand the importance of those compliances. Earlier, it was supposed to be the irritation value for all the compliances to meet. There was a very, very high irritation value. As sir read about some, I will not number, I know the number well, but that has been one of the questions about the so many licenses. It is now very well understood that although it is a very painful issue, it is an important issue to be followed as a norm, sir. That's what I feel, that it has changed a lot now.
Thank you very much, sir. That's a very positive development, especially for the community of consultants, that we see more and more clients keep on complying to the norms. That's very welcome move for us. You have to say something on that?
Yeah, it was just regarding the topic that you mentioned about the number of car parks to be given per room. Sir, you won't believe in Bombay, the rules have changed so drastically that it is not based upon the number of rooms. It is based upon guest contact and guest operating areas divided by 25 square meters per built-up area of the hotel. So, for example, if you're building a hotel of, say, 100,000 square feet, including back of house and front of house, and if your front of house is 60%, so that is 60,000 square feet, and you divide that by 25, and that will be the number of car parks. BMC is insisting, shown clearly, with access movement and turning radius of the vehicles, all properly on your property, then your permission start coming through. This is the law which has happened in Bombay. So not number of rooms, sir. Gaya, wo bhi gaya hai. So they have gone much ahead, and therefore you're getting better compliance nowadays from everybody. This is one of the big steps which Maharashtra has taken.
Fantastic. So we'll move from these tall buildings, 100,000 square feet, 60,000 square feet, we'll move into the next point. But before that, yes, we definitely want to give away one gift. I asked the first question, who issues the food safety license? Who answered that? Okay, fine. The correct answer is the Food Safety Standards Authority of India is a regulatory body and it is not a licensing body. The licenses are issued by your local municipality. They are called under different nomenclatures. In some states, it's called a health license. In some states, it's called a hygiene and sanitation license. And in some states, it's called a food safety license. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is created as per an Act of Parliament. It is a central government legislation. And some of its activities are delegated to the state governments, and state governments in turn implement them through the local urban body. It can be a municipal corporation or it's a municipality or whatsoever, by whatever name that we have. So that is authority, but yes, you made a first attempt. We would like to give you that gift. Please come and collect it from Mr. Naresh Shahani. Sir, please give it off. Please. So now I'll repeat my second question. I read out a list of licenses, the number, anybody who gets a correct number will get one more gift. So then I'll go into the next question. My next question. Pardon me? No, are you asking me or telling me? No, I said, will you please stand up and turn towards the audience? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rajneesh Gandhi is a very accomplished chef and a consultant. He's from Bangalore. He's an entrepreneur. Please give him a big hand. That is a gift for you, Rajnish ji. You are not qualified to collect this gift. Okay, please sit down.
That is much better gift.
Oh, there was a lady who was willing to attempt. Anybody? Yeah, please. Can you come? 23. No, you are way off. No, Rahul is. Okay, let me check Rahul's arithmetic. You won't get a gift, but tell me the number. No, no, no. I want to know the number of how many I read out.
I don't have that answer.
Fine. Okay, anybody can keep guessing. Anybody who comes closest will get the gift. 18. Okay, fine. No, no, no. You are very poor in mathematics. You have failed. Okay, now we'll move on to the next question. We'll try to take this. The question is, as Naresh ji and Sanjeev ji had spoken about high-rise buildings and 200-room hotels, 100,000 square feet and all that, we'll move on to what happens to the compliances of temporary establishments. All of us are aware that there are 25 sectors in the Mahakumbh Mela, which is established in 40,000 acres in Uttarakhand, now Uttarakhand or Uttar Pradesh, whatever, Prayagraj that we are talking about. And we have also recently seen that in Sector 19, there was a fire accident called by an LPG fire, and it was quickly put out. My question to my colleague Sadanand Acharya is, are there any specified licensing or compliance norms even for temporary establishments like these bhandaras, or maybe a outdoor banquet kitchens, or some kind of a temporary cooking arrangements that we will do in maybe resorts or convention centers or maybe festivals or whatsoever and all that? If there are some licensing norms, please tell us what are those. In case if there are not, from your experience, please tell us what should be our own checklist.
Good afternoon, everyone in the audience. Thank you, Sravan sir. Regarding this Kumbh Mela, we had a short experience about setting up a temporary kitchen exactly for a marriage event, which was about 800 people odd in Calcutta. So what I feel is that these temporary kitchens doesn't have license norms in place. They do have statutory requirements of the local authority who comes in and only applies for the marriage event, not particularly for cooking. It just said that there's a marriage and you don't have any licenses for setting up a kitchen or any permission which you require to set up a kitchen. It's just shown as an event base. Like if you must have seen a big event which has happened in Vashi, Navi Mumbai. Even there, when these event place comes in place, is that we don't have a statutory body who gives us an approval for setting up a kitchen, but they give the event as a permission that you can do this event. That was number one on the setting up the temporary kitchen. What we felt when we had set up a kitchen in Calcutta, there was a regular body who had visited the premises. What they had given us a permission for setting up a kitchen. They had laid a guideline. Now this doesn't happen in all the states which I have worked across. This was best part of West Bengal which I had experienced. We had given compliances to be covered to set up a temporary kitchen. We had a fire marshal in place for whole of the event. It was a 12-day event. There was Sangeet, there was Haldi and all of that. Whole of the 12 days, there was 3 fire marshal placed out. They were taking care of all these event which was happening, especially on the gas bank side. What my point to this was for Kumbh Mela, especially the question is for Kumbh Mela. This is a large event where the numbers are humongous. I mean, nobody could put a right numbers to it.
It's not a large, it's a largest event.
Yeah, largest event on planet Earth, I say. What I see that the state should come in first, like from chief minister onwards, everybody should take care and have consultant who can guide them and make a checklist that these are the requirements to set up a kitchen. And wherever there is a food offering, you allocate this space separately, not get into the public area. You have a food safety officer in place who's checking the food which is coming, whether they are coming in right temperature, the quality of food being tested. Because we have seen incident where food poisoning also has happened in many of these places. like our school where we have this daily day meals, midday meals. So again, there should be a licensing body who should be present on these such temporary basis event, which will help us to deliver a better working condition to the staff who's working in the kitchen, plus give a better product output to the people who are eating out food out there.
So that they should be more directed towards the safety.
Yeah, it should be firstly handled from safety and then, but obvious to the quality of food what is being served.
Fantastic. I take this point very well. Yeah, there is not much of a regulation on these temporary establishments, but Sadanand says there should be either a self checklist or a mandatory checklist, and progressively we should educate any such event managers on the safety precautions that we need to take from the first, and then progressively move on to how these self-imposed checklist will also help in improving the operational efficiency.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Thank you so much. I'll take the discussion forward. Before I go to Vishwanath Pandey ji, I want to ask a question to the audience, and again, people did not answer. Now, let me see whether somebody will answer this question, and if is tomato a fruit or a vegetable? Okay, I see one hand, I see two hands here, I see many hands here. Okay, is tomato a fruit or a vegetable? Number one. Number two, I'll ask a supplementary question. Is cauliflower a vegetable or a flower? Okay, we have seen multiple hands rising. I will ask, we have among the audience a great expert on refrigeration. Mr. Satish is here. You give us your expert answer whether tomato is a fruit or a vegetable. Based on that, we'll give the award. Please give a mic, please. Pardon? One mic, please. Hello, one mic there. Please pay attention. One mic to the gentleman there, please.
It's a guess actually. Tomato I feel is a fruit and cauliflower is a vegetable.
Okay, tomato is a fruit, cauliflower is a vegetable. Who said? But you said both. So you can't get a prize. Who said? Oh, you. Sadanand ji says you get two prizes. What did you say? Cauliflower is a flower. That is the wrong answer. Satish ji said cauliflower is a vegetable. Okay, please come forward. Whoever said tomato is a fruit, please come forward. Satish ji. Sanjeev ji, please. एक और नहीं. Okay, I'll take the last question of this round on compliances to Vishwanath Pandey ji. Now, before that, I'll give you some interesting data. The recent development in the GST Council meeting headed by the Finance Minister has said caramel popcorn will be taxed at 18% and plain popcorn will be taxed at 5%. That is one. The second, similarly, an interesting item, if you go to a sweet shop, a mithai shop by any name, whatever standard that you are, if you buy a pre-packed item, it can be a sweet or a snack or anything that you're talking about, that attracts regulation under the food packaging rules issued by the Food Safety Standards Authority of India. But if the same product is sold in a loose condition, which is actually more harmful because it might attract dust and it more prone to contamination of various natures, then that sale does not attract the regulation under the food packaging rules issued by the Food Safety Standards Authority of India. So that is an interesting piece of data. And before I ask this question, I'll also tell you what happens, how the law functions in our country. In the first week of December 2024, the Supreme Court of India, the Honorable Supreme Court of India, three-judge bench, not even a single judge, a three-bench judge had given a final judgment on a case which was pending which was in the courts for 20 years. Mark my words, 20 years. and the judgment says size of the packaging will not determine what is a product. Now let me give you the case. 20 years ago, Central Excise Department went and applied a central excise duty on packed coconut oil, claiming a 100 ml bottle of coconut oil is a cosmetic. So they should pay central excise tax at the rate applicable to the cosmetics. And the manufacturer of the coconut oil contested that, saying that on the product packaging, we have not mentioned it is a cosmetic. As far as we are concerned, it is edible oil because it is used for cooking. So that is the crux of the case. And it took 20 years for the matter to be resolved. After 20 years, the Supreme Court of India in December 2024 said, packing in 100 ml does not make it a cosmetic, and packing it 5 liters does not make it an edible oil. So the Central Excise Authority has no right to determine what is it based on the volume or the size of packaging. Yet the Supreme Court has still not told whether coconut oil is a cosmetic or edible oil. So the contest is still on. This is a kind of a legal system that we have in India. In this kind of a legal system, Pandeyji, my question to you is, how do we resolve these ambiguities which happen especially in the food commodities, food products and food snacks? Ladies and gentlemen, Vishwanath Pandey is a chef. He is chief of Total Hospitality International based in Hyderabad. He is a specialist in helping you set up bakeries, confectioneries and mithai shops of any nature. I think all over India, he must have got a footprint. Maybe you walk into any mithai shop, you will not know that you are tasting a product which has been approved by Pandeyji. Pandeyji, over to you.
Thank you, Shravanji. Okay, sorry. So yes, there is a lot of ambiguity. If you see, there is a lot of ambiguity that is there in the whole system. To start with, let me tell you, see, there are some areas that we are already organized. If you see, I'm coming to the question, but I'm coming from little away. If you're doing a hotel, there is a proper classification, guidelines that you have. You have guidelines for a lot of things that are in place. But areas where you don't find guidelines is majorly on food safety, where the food inspectors don't have a proper questionnaire or knowledge about what's happening. So I think, it has to end on the taxation part. Again, the guidelines needs to be formed. So I think first of all, there are some gray areas where the restaurateur, the retail outlet guy doesn't have a proper guidelines list that he has to follow, based on which the inspector who comes in will inspect your property. That is the most biggest gray area that we have. Now coming down to these retail outlets, if you see, a lot of these sweet shops and bakeries have dining also that they have. Dining in the sense you'll at least have 2 tables, 4 tables that are there in the outlet. Now if you sell a samosa from the counter, it attracts 18% GST. And when you serve it on a table like a restaurant, it attracts 5% GST. Now, how do you address what you have sold? All right. And in a sweet shop, for whatever you're selling, you get input. You get input tax. But whatever you're selling in a restaurant, you don't get input. But your turnover, your billing is 1. Then the retailer is confused. The government is not confused because they make good out of the retailer. But yes, these things need to be streamlined. There are a lot of other processes that you actually see. In a bakery or a sweet shop, you will find 150, 180, 200 SKUs. SKUs means items that are there in the shelf. Now these items also keep changing. In the sense, today you might have one flavored Kaju Katli and tomorrow you might have a different flavored sandwiched Kaju Katli that might come. You might have a new item that comes in. Now, there is a rule by FSSAI that all the items that you are going to sell have to be checked in a prescribed lab that they have suggested. In every city, they have specific labs that they have suggested. For you to get 200 items checked every 6 months in the lab, you will have to keep sending those items. So the cost is one, where it is quite high. In fact, more than the sweet shop, I think the lab guy will earn more in a lighter note. That is one. Second, it becomes very, very hectic for a retail guy to, really function. वो मिठाई बेचेगा या मिठाई चेक करवाते रहेगा. So that kind of stuff. So anyway, they're coming, there are organizations that are there. It is being pitched to the government. There are a lot of things that are happening behind the scene where they're trying to get this organized and where they're trying to get this reformed. So the idea is, yes, there is some ambiguity there. There are a lot of variations that you can see. But yes, there is some work happening and hopefully things will get regulated.
Thank you very much. So what I understand, yeah, I'll give you that, Rahul. What I understand is, it is a choice that you have, that you go to a mithai shop, buy a samosa at 25 rupees and then go to Marine Drive, sit on the seaside and enjoy by paying 18% tax, but still 25 rupees. Or go to a restaurant, sit down there, pay only 5% tax, but then pay 60 rupees for the same samosa. It's a choice that you have. Also the service charges, also the tips, whatsoever. Rahul, you have a question? Yeah, he has a question to Pandey ji.
So,
On the firing line.
as you just said that, if you sit in the restaurant and have the samosa, it is 5%, while when you pick counter, it's 18%. Now, what happens if I go pick it up over the counter and sit down in the restaurant and have the food? What's the taxation
So
percentage?
the issue is not with the end customer, because the end customer in any sweet shop, you have it including taxes. But it is an issue for the retailer how he has to file the taxes. And either way he files, he gets stuck somewhere, because that's a loophole that the government gets to hold him on. That's the whole thing.
If you file at 5%, you don't get input credit. If you file at 18%, you get input credit.
But again, from the back end perspective, keeping a track of what goes at 5% and what goes where I can claim input credit, where I can't, it's going to be really challenging for
So you also need to appoint PricewaterhouseCoopers to help with that. Ladies and gentlemen,
So-
Mr. Rahul Talwar. Mr. Rahul Talwar is a consultant. He's based in Chennai. He's a consulting partner from Peacock Hospitality. Please give him a hand for asking that question. Thank you very much. Pandey ji.
Yeah. So what happens is most of them end up doing the 18% so that they get that input tax, because they need that input tax. They don't deviate from there. But then they are caught hold of saying that you're serving it there and should be 5. So that's something where it's not very clear right now. And in case some people who have a restaurant on a different floor, then again there are some issues that are coming up, that they were taking input on particular sweet and that you're serving it on top and stuff like that, where they have to pay penalties for X number of months and years and so on, which becomes very tough for them to. So these are ambiguity areas that we're highlighting. We're not saying this is the way forward. But yes, there is some resolution that's going to happen, and we have a body working on it very straightforward. And I think possibly in some given time we'll come to a conclusive result.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. That takes us a first round. Naresh ji has to say something in that.
On this particular topic, I mean, we've been having discussions with Burger King, Subway, and other major QSRs. So if you go to the counter and place order for food, the first question they ask you, is it a dine-in or you're going to take the food out? So automatically these guys had done their homework, and those people who are going to sit and dine will be charged differently as tax, and those who are just going to pick it up and go away as different taxation. So this is heralding a future, and this has been happening not in India only, but from abroad for the last 50 years that I know when I've been traveling. So on the counter, when you're placing the order itself, they ask you, is it a dine-in or a takeaway? And that's how the difference can have to be maintained by everybody.
Fine, fantastic. That brings us to the end of the first round of this two-topic panel discussion. First round on compliances. We'll move on to audits. And Madam Stina, you are there. We'll take a little more time, but in case if you have shortage of time, you can tell us. We'll quickly run it. Right? Thank you very much for that allowance of a little extra time. Before I move on, I also see Nandini from Pune Gas. I just want to make out one point here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have LPG in your establishment, if you store LPG below 100 kgs, you do not require a license from the Department of Explosives, Government of India. But if your storage goes beyond 100 kgs, then you do require a license from the Department of Explosives, Government of India. Now, this is very crystal clear. But the ambiguity is, if a cylinder is connected to the manifold, is it considered gas in use or gas in store? That is the contention. That is where the contention, and that will take us to the debate on the next level we will make in the next panel discussion. Now, we'll move on to the audit side. I'll go back to my friend Sanjeev Shukla here. Sanjeev ji, you are a professional, you are a consultant, you are competent, you have the domain expertise, and then you are an entrepreneur. Not many food business operators will have that kind of an inherent domain expertise. In your opinion, how do you think a food safety audit helps the entrepreneurs?
Food safety. Hello. Food safety is a very integral part of any food chain operations across any kind of an F&B operations. So when I say for a restaurant, what we usually do is we have a third-party inspections. We do SOPs of checklist on things, how things are managed, how your products are stored, handled, and even cooked at different stages and levels in the operations. So, for example, if you have vegetarian products like dough or anything, so there are certain SOPs on those lines, and there are third parties which are available, which a restaurant or a hotel chain or a QSR operators can hire, and they can guide the people to do things in certain operations way. So that is how things are done.
Okay. So definitely there seems to be some advantage of having a food safety audit or any other kind of an audit conducted in a food safety establishment or a hotel to begin with at that level. I'll again take this from a food business operator level to a hotel level. I'll go to Mr. Sanjeev Deshmukh. Sir, what are the mandatory audits applicable to not only the food business operator sector, but also at a broader spectrum, the hospitality spectrum in India? Do we have any such mandatory requirements? If so, what are they? In case if they are not, what are the desired audits? For what benefit?
To answer the question, I haven't seen anything which is a mandatory audits which have been governed or it has been implemented by the government. It is in the interest of the hotel that they are trying to do the audits same way, the way it is for the audit for the performance in terms of the staff, for the guest. Ultimately, we are here to serve the guests in terms of room or in terms of the food or F&B which is there. The brands now, even Indian brands as well as the brands, overseas brands, in their normal SOPs are having their internal audits done, and they're also trying to have third-party audits. I do not know, I'm sure most of us here may be aware, there is something called the mystery audit which is done. It is not known to anybody in the hotel that the audit is being on, but it is being done by the experts. We have somebody who is sitting here to talk about it in more elaborate manner. But that's what is happening. And according to me, what should be done is that the government 101% should lay. Unfortunate part is that before laying the standards onto the paper, we have got the regulations by the government to say what is right and what is wrong. Ideally, they should have their own write-ups. The pointers should be there for the operator to know that these are the requirements by the government officials, and hence whenever the audit is done by the government, whether we are trying to meet the compliances or not. That is something which is extremely important. It is really not happening that way. But again, as I say, that's exactly one of the objectives of Rajesh ji when we form this association, that there has to be a body with whom the government, either the state government or the central government, can interact, and we can have a win-win situation for the operators, for the customers, and overall as an industry. That is what is the expected thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Understood that. Now, from a generic level, I'll move on to a specific level. My question again goes back to Naresh Shahani ji, sir. The three major elements, if we have to do a cost control and any environmental friendly approach, one is electrical audit, second is a water audit, third is an audit of the solid waste management that happens in a larger establishments. With your experience, can you tell us what could be a broad checklist of conducting these audits? I'm not looking at a micro level program sheet, but a broad level, how do you think these audits will be conducted and how will these audits add to the bottom line? Can we do it quickly in the next 2-3 minutes, please?
Three major things which are apart from labor cost in an organization is the consumption of utilities. We put them under one head, which is water, power, and disposal. Now, disposal is now becoming a new norm with a place, a city like Mumbai. I'm going backwards because municipal trucks have been told not to pick up garbage from hotels. They have to have their own systems of disposal. So whether it is garbage crushers, whether they are being put into a digester, and the liquid which comes out goes to their ETP plants, all that is part of the stipulated regulation from the government of India and through the local municipal corporations. So that takes care of disposal. Power. Power, of course, it is a very, very big, they have become partners to our industry, literally. So costs can be anywhere between 10 to 15% of your turnover goes to paying for the electricity power. So it is in the interest of all hoteliers, restaurateurs and any F&B operator to see that his operations are very lean and mean, very tightly controlled. And also the responsibility of each department of your hotel or your restaurant is answerable for the power consumption. Now this is a very, very tricky thing and it has to be integrated right from the day you start designing a power distribution in your F&B operations. Coming back to the first point of view, which is of water consumption. We have some good international companies also offering us a complete metering system for each part of your kitchen. And that needs to be very well installed into your kitchens so that you know which department is consuming the most. Obviously, a department like banquet kitchen will have a higher water consumption than a specialty restaurant or something like that. Or a high-end, high-volume coffee shop will have higher washing needs. But integrating water-efficient machines, faucets, and cleaning procedures, for example, using steam instead of just pouring water all over the place, would help you to bring the cost of this utility down. I'll take half a minute more, sir. It was regarding the way the hotels have to do their audit. I'll just share a very, very strong example for Dubai. Dubai operates under something called as the Dubai Food Code, in which, apart from the knowledge of that food code, the operating chef has to pass what is called as a kitchen manager program. And that is a stipulation, otherwise he cannot be employed in your organization. So, therefore, the onus and responsibility starts from the chef to see that his first in, first out methods are maintained, the checking of each product in his refrigerator. Now, you will get a shock to know that in a place like Dubai, even 20 years ago, when I did a food court operation there, a very well-dressed Arab gentleman coming with thick gold chains and everything, not talking to anybody, walks into your kitchen, opens each fridge and sees what is kept inside so that there is no cross-contamination. We were fined 5,000 dirhams because that morning the delivery of the pastries came in late and one of the staff members kept it in the lower part of the fridge when meat was kept on the top. To that degree of strictness, that country works. And these sort of things can be only embedded in our students of catering colleges and people who are here in the practicing in the kitchens.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we are running short of time. I will take the last question to Mr. Vishwanath Pandey. Before that, I'll just ask one more audience question. Here, it's the easiest possible question. Fastest finger first. Whoever raises their hand first, and we'll ask a question. If you give a right answer, we'll give the gift. The question is, do audits cost you money or save you money? I see the first hand here. Save you money. Friend, that's a fantastic answer. Yes. Can we have one gift here? But can you have one gift brought in here, please? Audits do save money. And I invite Mr. Avinash Garg to come and give him a gift. Mr. Avinash Garg is a procurement specialist and he has handled 100 hotels in a single stroke when Accor came into India. Internationally qualified, globally educated, based in Delhi. He is one of the senior most consultants in India. Fantastic. I'll take the last question to Mr. Vishwanath Pandey. Pandeyji, we have seen there is a lot of paradox, there is a lot of dichotomy, there is a lot of fluidity, there is a lot of ambiguity in terms of compliances. And then audits, I look at as an evolving mechanism in India, which is going to help the food business operator spectrum in the future. My question to you is, do we see the Food Service Consultants Association under your leadership working together with the statutory authorities to make the guest more safer and the life of the food business operators easier? That's a concluding question.
Yeah. So, as an agenda and as a effort from the leadership team in this tenure, we are also looking at setting up a lot of things that could help the industry grow in a very standardized format. For example, we are trying to work with BIS to help people who already have standardized equipments or imported equipments that they have, just help them do the process well and ensure that they are BIS certified. Secondly, also we are trying to work with them for custom fabricated equipments because the knowledge levels and the knowledge paraphernalia that they have is not as much. So we're trying to create something that can help the manufacturers also follow the guidelines that BIS can create, and that will help people, tender equipments with a particular standard. That is one part. Secondly, also we are trying to work with the Green Council to have greener resorts and hotels so that, the carbon footprint that is coming out of hotels and resorts can be, nilled down by taking measures and, measuring each carbon footprint that we are coming out with and how we can negative it by, taking measures where it becomes a zero carbon footprint space. So that's one area that we are trying to work on. And, but yes, in the area where we were talking about the food service audits that happen, and we see food inspectors coming. In fact, Hyderabad today is a hub where every day you have at least 20 restaurants that are rated towards food safety audits, where the food inspector or health inspector comes in to check the kitchen. But unfortunately, they don't have great idea on what they should be checking. They end up checking dustbins that are just open, they don't have a lid, or they end up checking if the kitchen is dirty. They end up checking the expiry dates on packets that are there, whether they're open or closed, because they have that limitation. So, but we've not really worked towards that, but we would also love to, create a small guideline so that, even the restaurateur knows what he has to manage, because the restaurateur ends up just getting the kitchen cleaned and getting it ready for him to inspect. But he should know what he should follow. As Sir said, the chef should know what he should follow. And the inspector also should know what he should check. So at the end of it, it becomes a very win-win situation for a business operator, that he's happy because he knows he's maintaining it. And for the food inspector also to know what he's checking is actually right. So that part we've not worked on, but we are surely going to work on that also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pandeyji. And ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to all of you. I think what we have done very successfully today is to kickstart a debate on this subject. We have raised more questions than we found answers today. All of us are going to be around for some more time, and today and tomorrow we can interact off the stage one by one. We can get into a healthy discussion and trying to find solutions to all of that. And before I sign off, I want to thank a few people. I definitely want to thank Stina ji for making this event possible. I want to thank Swastik Synergy for making this event possible. I want to thank Rajesh Chaudhary for being a founder, director of the Food Service Consultants Association of India. Rajesh, please stand up and take a bow. Let everybody see you.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, with deep respect and all humility, I dedicate this session to the memory of one of our tallest consultant friends, late Sri Dayal Advani ji from Bombay, who's no longer among us. This goes in memory of him. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And thank you for hearing us out.
Mr. Shravan, we would like to wait. I'll call upon my colleague Datta to give our small mementos for all our panelists. Yeah, Datta. Mr. Sravan Kumar, our moderator for the session. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Can we have those claps, please? Thank you. Mr. Kumar did a very fantastic job. Mr. Vishwanath Pandey. Mr. Naresh Shahani. Mr. Naresh Shahani. Mr. Sadanand Acharya. Sadanand Acharya. Sanjeev Shukla. Mr. Sanjeev Shukla. Please wait here. We want a group photograph before you. Mr. Sanjeev Shukla. Mr. Sanjeev Deshmukh. Mr. Sanjeev Deshmukh. Yeah, can we have a group photograph of the panel first before I go on to the other felicitations? One for the panel, and then I'll ask Mr. Rajesh Chaudhary to join us on the dais. Thank you. We would also like to thank Mr. Mukesh Shah and Mr. Varun Shah from Swastik Synergy for their support to this event. Please come on the dais. We would like to present you and felicitate you. Datta. Thank you very much. Mr. Mukesh Shah and Mr. Varun Shah from Swastik Synergy, thank you for supporting us for this event. Thank you very much. Now I request Mr. Rajesh Chaudhary on the dais. We would like to present him with a token of our appreciation for his continued support and patronage. Mr. Rajesh Chaudhary. Yeah, no, we're giving. No, no, we are giving them to everybody. Relax, Rajesh. You require a box. Or you want to hand it over to Mr. No, please do that. Datta, please. Mr. Rajesh Chaudhary, a huge round of applause for him. We are also felicitating a few of the consultants who are here. So we request you to please come on the days when we call out your names. Mr. Amit Karakar, Principal Consultant, Commercial Kitchen Designers. Mr. Amit, yes. Karkar, okay. Mr. Karkar. Mr. Benny Agrawal, Business Consultant, GK Hospitality Services. It's tea time. We can have the claps, please. Thank you for your encouragement. Mr. Benny Agrawal. Mr. Pratik Gaikwad. Mr. Pratik Gaikwad is not there. Okay. Mr. Pramod Paleri. Mr. Pramod Paleri, Secretary FSCAI and Principal Designer and Consultant S&P Associates. Mr. Raj Gaikwad, MD Span Asia. Mr. Raj Gaikwad, no. Mr. Rajneesh Gandhi, Chefs at Work. Mr. Rajneesh Gandhi, Chefs at Work. Rajneesh Gandhi is not there. Mr. Rahul Talwar, Founder Director, Rethink Hospitality. Guys, we need more claps. We can't hear them at all. Mr. Satish Karunakaran, Chief Inspiration Officer, Horse Inspire. I like your designation, sir. Chief Inspiration Officer. We'd request everyone to wait for a group photograph. Yeah, Mr. Satish Karunakaran. Coming up next is Mr. Tarun Tanwar, Commercial Kitchen and BOH Designer. Mr. Tarun Tanwar. Mr. Upendra Dattarya Kulkarni, Co-Founder and Director, HCS Global Corp. Mr. Kulkarni. Mr. Vaibhav Mathur, Director, Mathur Hospitality. Vaibhav Mathur. Mr. Vaibhav Mathur. Yeah, okay. Mr. Pradeep Mathur, Managing Director, Mathur Hospitality. Pradeep Mathur. Pradeep ka bhi de do. Mr. Naresh Srivastava, ATN Consultants. Mr. Naresh Srivastava, ATN Consultants. Mr. Avinash Garg, Senior Consultant, Hospitality Solutions. Mr. Avinash Garg. Mr. Aditya Singh Jala, Aditya Jala, Director and Founder of Gauranga Hospitality. Mr. Aditya Singh Jala is not there. I think not there, na? Not there. Mr. Chirag Panchal, HDS Consulting. Chirag Panchal. And Mr. Uppal. Hey, thank you, thank you. And Mr. Uppal. Mr. Uppal. Mr. Utpal. Mr. Utpal. All right. Following this, we have a master class by Chef Malkani, Tushar Malkani. Okay, we'll have one group photograph quickly, and then we'll have to clear the space for our master class. Thank you, audience. Thank you, gentlemen. One group photograph quickly.